That's a little bit better. All right, cool. So we have about 13 people on right now. What I'll do is let's just, Jared, if you want to take us through the standard agenda, let's get the MVPs to introduce themselves, and then we will go ahead and run into the special edition.
Yeah, sounds great. Welcome everybody. Good to be with you. If I could go ahead and have the MVPs real quick raise their hands just so I can make sure I see them easily there. So for those of you who have not been on MVP office hours before, just to give you a couple ground rules of just kind of how things go. It's a very open forum, very relaxed, and so we just ask you, mute your line if you're not speaking so we don't get any crazy feedback or anything. And then, you can raise your hand. You can, within the meeting, you can post in the chat. You can just speak up, or we can call on you if there's a blank spot. So just to give you a quick introduction of myself, as Joshua said, my name is Jared Kingston. I'm a business analyst for Apereo and a Salesforce MVP. And Josh, you want to introduce yourself for those who may not know you?
Sure, guys. My name is Joshua Hoskins. I am a solution architect at Apereo. I started this MVP office hours earlier this year, and then moved to EMEA. So Jared's been handling it, but good to be with you guys again, and also look forward to some exciting stuff to share with you later on tonight.
Sweet, thanks. All right, so let's. I just want to introduce to you guys the MVPs that we have on the call today, and we're just going to run down the list. So, Amber, looks like you're at the top there. Will you go ahead and quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Amber Boaz. I'm also an MVP, and I am the Director of Cloud Success at Cloud for Good. We work with nonprofits. So if there are any nonprofit folks on the call, I hope to be able to be helpful.
Awesome. Bill, Mr. Bill Greenhaw.
Good morning. Bill Greenhaw, another MVP, IS Manager at Synergex, and have some fun today.
Awesome. Mr. Brent Downey.
Yeah, hey everyone. Brent Downey. I am Salesforce Platform Manager at Gates Corporation out of Denver, and I run the local user group here.
Awesome. And Deepa.
Hi, this is Deepa Patel with Hulk Consulting, and I am a Salesforce MVP and a Silicon Valley user group co-leader.
You sound a lot better this week.
I'm sorry?
Do we have it?
You sound a lot better this week. Sound like
I am. That's what steroids do to you.
Do we have any other MVPs that I missed on the call? All right. Cool. Let's go ahead and kind of get started here.
Yeah. So hey guys, like I mentioned, we started MVP office hours earlier this year, and this session, number 17, we really wanted to recap on where we've been this year. So it's going to be a little bit of a special edition for about 15 minutes, I think, and then we'll see how much feedback goes, and then we'll drive into the normal scheduled agenda later on towards the end of the call, maybe the last half hour, and take some questions there. So first, I really wanted to start out, if you're watching your screen right now, you should see a thank you slide come up, hopefully, if I can get it to play. Yeah, it says thanks you, but really what it should say is thank you. Because your participation in MVP office hours makes us successful, and we've got some stats to share over the last 17 meetings we've had. But please do continue to come. Please continue to give us feedback, and please continue to tell your friends about the service that we offer to the community as well. And so with that, we just want to do a year in review. So this is MVP office hours by the number. So if you can recall, back in April, on April 12th, we actually had our first MVP office hours meeting. And we've had 17 since then. This would be the 17th MVP office hours. So as a part of the review, I wanted to sort of give an overview of where we actually came from and why MVP Office Hours started. So within the MVP community, we have a chatter group, and last year we broke out the chatter group into several different sections. One was engagement, one was mentorship, and the other one was strategic. And so as the MVP community, we had these directives that were given to, make the community more engaging, reach out to other people who don't already know about the MVP program or the different initiatives that Salesforce has. And so Salesforce used to do something very similar to MVP Office Hours, but it was very structured and it somehow fell off the radar sometime early last year. And so someone had posted in the MVP Office Hours group, hey, or in the chatter group, that we should do this again. So I sort of took that as a charter to go to my colleagues and friends and other people in the community and say, would this be valuable? And from my point of view, it was along the lines of there are several mediums to get Salesforce support. One of them is calling Salesforce directly. The other one is posting an answers an idea to the Idea Exchange, or posting a question in the answers community. And those to me felt very trendy for an awesome dude like Steve Moe to provide me feedback, and then I have to engage with him again. It's very transactional. And Steve's great. He has a full-time job and kids and a family. Not all answers can afford a transactional relationship like that. Answers sometimes need to be able to be talked through, and it needs to be a two-way conversation in real time. So just like we've done on Dreamforce before, just like we've done on MVP Office Hours all year, we provided the community a forum to join a call and be able to talk with experts in the community about solutions and challenges that other people experience. And to me, and the people who I spoke with, we felt that this was important for the community. So since April 12th, we've had 319 registrants, and those are the people who actually registered for the events, but throughout all of the sessions, we've had 221 participants, which lands at a 69% attendance rate, which is pretty awesome when you think about we've only been operating since April 12th, and we only do about 2 sessions a month because it's a bi-weekly session. We did take a break for Dreamforce because everyone needs a break to decompress and get back to your day job after Dreamforce. But we certainly look to make some changes and to do some more goal setting inside of 2014 as we continue this program. And we will definitely clue you in on some of the things that we're thinking about and allow you guys to feedback to us whether it's a good idea or not. So with that, I wanted to drive into some feedback live. So a couple weeks ago, we released a feedback form via Google, and we asked for your feedback. That was important to us because we think as MVP Office Hours for the community by the community. If the community doesn't show up for these calls and participate, then we can go back to our day jobs and actually continue delivering value and work. But it really is participation on both sides to make this happen. So now I'm going to share my screen, and let me know if you can. Can you see my screen? You can see my screen. Jarrett, can you IM me the document, please, so that I can pull it up? I'm not sure what it's called now. I think it's called responses. There you go. All right, cool. All right, so you know what? In the spirit of being transparent, I really been waiting for a very long time, as Jarrett can attest to show the feedback that we received. It's interesting because we built it so that we didn't know who actually submitted the feedback. But I think it's important for everyone to see the feedback that we got and us to sort of respond to it in a constructive manner. And then the next slide that I'm going to show you is going to be a slide that sums it all up. So if you take a look about some of these comments that we got here, I'll start with this one. More structured discussions. It's very awesome, very useful tips and tricks, but do more of an admin series. The next one I want to lead a 20-minute lunch and learn on the topic. Let's see. So I'm going to take those just for, here's this one. I'm new. I have only participated in one session, so I'm not sure how they're formatted. It'd be good to see an agenda of items that might be discussed. And then what happens if no one has questions? So I'm going to take all of these and just say there's a general theme. And what I don't want to steer away from when thinking about MVP office hours, it's much different. And as much as the MVPs in the community want to contribute, structured content sessions require work to actually source and produce and put together. And so we all have daytime jobs, but we need something that's very lightweight, that doesn't require 2 hours of work before you get on a call only to have more action items. It was more like whatever value we can provide in that hour that we have the call is what we should provide, and we should extend to and leverage other communities after that. So I wanted to take a little time to really relay that purpose of the session, because I think as we continue to have the MVP office hours, what we don't, and Jared, we may want to think about doing this, is start with the purpose of the session, maybe a little more finite, maybe how it started, so that the folks that join can actually understand that the purpose of the session is to ask questions. And then if we don't have any questions, which is in the second piece of the agenda, we'll actually look at just giving people back time in their day to crack on with whatever they are doing. And I think that's fair. A lot of people join to listen, and that's great. I think there's a lot of lessons to learn there. But we wanted to make sure that the purpose of this wasn't too content rich, to really allow for people to ask questions rather than have information being pushed at them. Same thing, I've noticed success in the user group community, where the social mixers are actually really relevant to people because there's free structured conversation, usually with alcohol flowing. But those conversations are somehow more relevant and more productive rather than the instructor-led sessions where you're getting content pushed at you and it's not in context to your organization or your challenge that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So I wanted to get that out there. So I've been able to answer the purpose of MVP office hours and also say what happens if we do if no one has any questions. The next thing I want to go on to is, this is my favorite, allow people to send questions ahead of time or structure each session around a topic or two so that it's concentrated. So this is something that we actually originally did on the first couple of MVP office hours. You'll notice where we used ReadyTalk, and it was actually a required field. And what I noticed is that when we required the field, we would get responses like, I'm just on to listen. Or when we didn't require the field, it wouldn't be populated in. So frankly, I just stopped asking it altogether because what we really wanted to do is force those questions into the chatter group, and that wasn't working well either. So I'm still open for feedback on this. It's a lot of great ideas, but I think what's important is that we're transparent to let you know that we did try both options. And to me, when you are there to register, and everyone knows you have a couple of seconds to actually get people to do what they need to do on a website. And if it's going to be difficult, what happens? They don't register. And so when we did have the question present, I noticed that our attendance numbers are not what we see today. There's a lot of variable in that, and there's really no consistency to look at. But by and large, we did get less attendees or less registrants when we did require the question. So that can either seem good or bad, but it's something we definitely want to work at. But if you don't have any questions, we can certainly end the time. And there's something that Jared and I are actually working on, and we'll show you in a minute, to try to create some type of structure to the content, but in a way where it's not, an hour or two of preparation before the call actually happens, which is great news for you guys. So this feedback, I want to at least get out on the table, why we are here and how we got there, and then some next steps that we'll do. So you know, a lot of these were great comments. There were a couple of other comments around the timing of the call. And so those have been heard loud and clear. And the timing of the call directly relates to its, you know, a set time, you know, bi-weekly, and the invite goes out. But with me being in EMEA now, Jared obviously being located in the U.S., I have a desire to really extend this and go global. So we're going to really think about different times for the meetings in different time zones. So you'll see that listed as a goal as well. Someone said, try to keep Josh. So I'm going to try to wiggle my way back in, but it's got to be a decent time where it's not Friday at 6 o'clock where I should be in a bar having a cocktail. So that's hard. So we're gonna rework that. And this is just all around timing. So we still did get a lot of feedback around the timing. So it's definitely something that we're going to work on. But I want to call out this one right here specifically because there's a lot of feedback around it needs to be structured and things of that nature. So this one says, I've only had the chance to attend one session, and even though nobody had an answer to my question, I still found it valuable and hope to attend again when my schedule allows. I appreciate the MVP willing to offer up their experience. So this just goes to show that a lot of folks can have opinions about the value that it offers and how we deliver value and whether we have questions or don't have questions, or whether people are there just to listen and don't have questions. And to me, it's very across the board, but the fact that we are still helping people across the session, I think, speaks volumes without having structured content. So when you're on the calls and you are participating, I would ask the people that are on this very call to make sure that you can prepare a question prior to the meeting so that you have something to speak about, because it takes one person to lead. Some people are afraid to ask their questions because they're fearful that it may be too basic or too silly. So it really starts with the community. So if you're ever on a call, I'm speaking to the individuals that are here today. If you have a question, even if there's a question that you know the answer to that took you a little while to grasp or took you a while to get answered yourself, it'd be helpful if you would repeat that question for the audience just to make sure that the meeting is still running smoothly and that people are learning and it's a good use of time. So with that said, we've got about 10 minutes left. So I just wanted to drive through that. I promise I'll open it up to questions here in a second. Let me just drive through a couple more slides. I think this is my last slide. So with that said, we're not done yet. We still want to obviously continue the program, and we have a vested interest in being able to make sure that we continue the attendance. And so our goals going into 2014 are going to be around increasing attendance, going global, and we're hoping that the fact that we're able to go global will help us change the times for different areas of the attendees to participate. And in addition to that, one of the things that I didn't cover inside of the live feedback is that we want to be able to also get an increased number of MVPs. I think there's just over 100, maybe 150 MVPs in the program now. And we really want to start engaging them and assign them different time slots to come to the meetings. And so that's something that we're going to be working on in 2014. Right now we do a lot of promotion within the community, and whoever joins. And we have a lot of people who join consistently. I'd like to give a shout out to Deepa Patel. Every meeting that I've been on, she's been there. I know she missed a couple, but by and large, she's actually been on most of the meetings that we've had, and we certainly thank you for your consistent participation, and we definitely hope to see you and others leading this call and also driving the call and providing feedback. There are other MVPs, too many to list, but you guys are also very helpful, and nor are you any less than the other people in the community, including the ones that are on this call today. Thanks for reaching out and being able to register and attend to the promotion that we sent out in the internal chatter group. So with that said, we do want to get some more different MVPs, so you can start to get to see different voices, connect with them on Twitter and different faces and things like that. So some of the ideas that we had in terms of the theme of structuring content is to be able to give a spotlight to products and tools. So maybe, we have an hour call, so maybe whether it's 5 minutes, doing a quick shout out to an AppExchange partner or an AppExchange, vendor or an ISV about their products and what problems they solve in the Salesforce ecosystem. Also, with that, maybe we switch off every other week, doing recent news. So what I've seen successful on other media that I consume is having a tidbit of, the latest Salesforce.com blog post inside of, maybe on the Salesforce blog, or maybe through an MVP, or maybe through a trusted Salesforce.com contributor, and be able to highlight that blog post and redirect traffic to them to learn, even if they can't attend the call to represent their article or their publication. Along those lines, I think it's really important for us to continue to highlight release reminders and release sessions over the 2014 period. And this is because I think that a lot of people, by and large, are really focused on making sure that they're getting their job done during the day, and some people are heads down and don't have the opportunity to attend user groups or to attend MVP office hours. So when they do, we want to be able to at least give them a snapshot of what's happening on the Salesforce.community. So if that means that there's a release coming out, or you have to make sure that you have to refresh your sandbox to get the new release and things like that, when those are communicated by Salesforce, we also want to communicate those out in this form to spread that knowledge on multiple channels. A lot of people will see it on Twitter. A lot of people will see it on LinkedIn in terms of release notes and things about releases, but we can start to treat this as another form to sort of publicize that information. The next thing that we want to be able to do as well is automatically invite participants. So what we don't do a good job at right now is if you attended meeting number 3, we don't invite you to meeting number 17 unless you are following the chatter group and you have a vested interest I'm sorry, I've got a party going on. Unless you have a vested interest to actually attend. We don't push information to you about upcoming content or the next meeting. So we want to get better at doing that in 2014. And the last thing is we want to get better about allowing you to share the event. I think there are some social integrations with ReadyTalk at the registration page, but we want to make that easier for you to share the event, its time, with your other colleagues, friends, and coworkers, which is the same as colleagues. We use colleagues over here in Europe. But we want to be able to make sure that you can share the event easily, and that's important to us. And because obviously then it's very easy to let other people know what's going on. The last thing I'll add on to here is we should probably get in the habit of using webcams again. I'm not sure, Jared, what you've been using there, but I definitely think that adds a touch of personality. So when we can, we should use that, and that came up in our ReadyTalk webinar that we did for them. So I want to get back in the mood of using webcams as well. So I think that I am done talking. What I want to do is allow some of the people, mainly it would be really cool for the people who are part of the feedback process to raise their hand during this time in the session and just give feedback about where we want to go in 2014, what your opinion is, so that we can sort of check in to see if the plan that we've laid out is something of interest, or if we've got it completely wrong, or maybe compliment on our direction so that we know that we're doing the right thing for the community and the steps that we have. So go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll go in order in terms of the people that want to get called on. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Kashai. Are you out there? Kashi, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, how are you?
Good. Over to you.
Good. Well, I think I like the plan, what you were saying, especially with pushing the information, because that's the one thing I think I commented on our Salesforce Success community also. That will be really helpful. I love the Google Hangout that we had in the beginning. That was great. One thing with the ReadyTalk, it doesn't allow people to, if someone is like signing in using the iPad, it doesn't allow them to have the audio control. Everyone has to dial in. So I don't know if that's the limitation with ReadyTalk or if that's the feature that we have to get enabled. Like I did the webinar this week, and there were few people in my webinar. They were not able to have the audio because they were trying to get it from the iPad or iPhone.
That's a very good point. So I think it is a limitation of ReadyTalk. I'll just give you a workaround. I have the same solution. I'm actually dialing in from London, and so what I did is I used my Google Voice account to dial the number. So I'm actually talking through my Google Voice account, which has a U.S. number. The other thing I would say is for those of you who missed the session or want to go back for notes, if you go to the chatter page inside of Success Communities, what you'll see is on the left-hand side, you'll see a link to the past recordings. It will be over here on the left-hand side. You'll see past sessions on your screen. You can always go there, and all of these sessions are actually published in a podcast format. So if you wanted to actually attach this podcast to your iTunes account and listen to this along with the Button Click Admin podcast, which is also a great podcast that I encourage everyone to listen to. You can certainly do that. So if you miss a session and you want to go back, know that all of these sessions are recorded so you can have the audio and the video that's associated to each of the sessions as we continue into next year.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks for your feedback. Really appreciate it. Any more feedback from anyone else on the call? I'd like to hear some more voices. All right. There's a lot of chatter going on. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, Jared, so just let me know. I know I'm a horrible speller as well, especially when you're doing the slides an hour before the call.
Hey, Joshua, are you talking about chatter in ReadyTalk? Like, I don't think I'm seeing anything going back and forth.
Yeah, we've got we see a lot of conversation that's coming on our side because I guess we're the chair people that are on here.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Cool. So there's no other questions. If you have any, just feel free to reach out to myself and Jared on Twitter. I'm at Jay Hoskins. And Jared, what's your Twitter handle?
At Jared Michael.
Okay, cool. So those are Twitter handles. Best way to get in touch with us if you want. So we are at the top of the hour, so I think we should probably continue with the normal agenda at this point and open the floor for folks to ask questions, if there are any questions, around CRM functionality first, and then we'll save the last 15 minutes for custom development functionality. I know there are some questions out there. What else do we have? Jared, do you have anything
Cheryl's
else?
all over it.
Do you have?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, there you are. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Hey, Cheryl.
Hi, this is Cheryl. So one of my questions about standard Salesforce functionality, which I'm trying to figure out if there's anything we can do about, is we have 22 email to cases right now, so we are heavy email to case users. Our whole client services operation is using email to case, and one of the things we noticed, if you look at the related list, the email related list on cases, is that a lot of times our client services reps, when they reply to the client, and we do want them to work in Salesforce, we 100% want to do that, and we can't have them do that 100% right now because of one limitation within that email-related list is you can't paste pictures, or a lot of times when we're working with our clients, we have to take a screenshot of something and send them something back, or send them something where we need to paste it in. And we built essentially a custom link, which actually is kind of like a hack that opens up a an Outlook email and, attaches the email back, but it's not ideal. And, I was wondering if anybody had any ideas or any workarounds, I guess, to kind of get past that, because that's like our big challenge right now with email cases. I don't know if anybody's ever brought that up before, but I was just wondering.
Sure, that's a great question. So I'll turn it over to the MVPs.
Yeah, so this is Amber. In a former life, I ran a customer support department. What we would do, and this is not at all easy and but it's a workaround, is we would paste those images into an attachment and then add an attachment. It works, but it's not to your point, it's not at all useful. Have you given any thought to? There's not a good way.
I thought I would just ask. I thought I would ask because it's always kind of been a hot topic, and and we don't use like the official Service Cloud right now. And I guess that was my other question, because that's one of the things we're going to start to look at is the official Service Cloud, because right now we're using BoldChat and a couple of other things, and we're going to probably start moving away from that stuff. And I guess, does Service Cloud offer anything like that's a little bit more streamlined there, or?
Well, it kind of, so if your screenshots, could be knowledge-based type solutions. Solutions do allow rich text and bullets and images and that sort of thing. So if you're sending the same screenshot over and over again, using Solutions is a good alternative to that, and it does attach in line. So that's definitely worth looking into. I'm also a BoldChat veteran, and I'm familiar with the pain points there. To the extent that you can go completely native, your stuff's going to be more integrated. That's kind of the overarching advice. But yeah, Solutions is probably worth looking at.
Can I
Yep, go ahead, Deepa.
I sat through the how Salesforce does, like what's upcoming or what's in the, down the road. Look for a Service Cloud session, and I'll see if I can find it and post it on the MVP group. There's some really good things coming. So
great.
Look at that and keep that in mind as you come up with some solutions, because there's some cool things, but it's coming in the Service Cloud. it's not going to be in the Sales Cloud. But I'll see if I can find it and post a link for you to that recording.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's definitely a common thread as well, I would say. So if there's not already, I would also go and find the idea and post that to the MVP office hours to get it up, because we have some direct access to a lot of the project managers that are out there. And so if it's truly painful, we can certainly see where that's at from a product standpoint and that. So go ahead. I think someone else did something added as well.
Yeah, this is Pete. And Cheryl, I was just wondering, using a third-party tool of just whether or not this is a wonky workaround is really just taking a screen capture via I use Jing by TechSmith, screencapture.com.
I love Jing.
So your reps can just do a screen capture and upload it to a free account, and it's just a URL, and then of course you just paste the URL in there and say, hey, take a look at the screenshot, and then then you send it off. And so it's not necessarily, you're not attaching it or you're not embedding it, it's just a link to another URL picture. So that might be a workaround.
That actually might. I'm sorry, what was the name of that application?
Screencast.com, and they have several little options, but it's called Jing, Jin. Okay. So yeah, I use that a lot for instant chat and stuff. If I want to get to people, I'm like, here, take a because how am I going to send them an attachment? I was like, okay, great, I'm just going to send them a URL, and and it's a free account or you can pay for storage, and of course they'll expire and that kind of stuff. I've had years and years of screenshots, but then I take them down. But if you're doing customer support and it's right there and then, that might be a viable workaround for you.
Okay, that's actually really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, if you're looking at my screen right now, I can just go to click and capture. I can capture a section of that screen and then click on save and then say upload via link, and then it will upload and then give me a URL, and then I can paste that URL wherever I want.
Yeah, that actually might be better because what we use Snagit right now. What we're doing is essentially what they were doing. If we were trying to keep them in Salesforce, having them save as a file, then add the attachments, taking too long. So now we built this kind of whole, essentially a URL hack, on every case that CCs the individual email address, which also causes us to house a million different page layouts because every single different group has a different one. So this actually might be a better option.
Snagit is the same people who make Snagit.
Okay.
And so it's by screencast, by TechSmith, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So look in their option because I use Snagit as well, but I always upload it into their service. And of course every agent will have to have a, or maybe you can create a user account within their screencast thing, and it links there, and it's done. But so that's a out of the box solution maybe.
Thank you so much.
It's Bruno from Toronto here. I'm not an MVP, but I have an idea. Doesn't the newest version of Salesforce for Outlook allow you to push emails into cases now?
It does, but that's so typically we want them to work within Salesforce rather than Outlook. So the email's actually coming back in. So what essentially happens is our process is, a client will email, client support, whatever, and then a case will come in. The reps, and based on whatever type of case it is, whatever email case it gets assigned to the queues, the reps will go and accept it, and we want them to actually reply to the client through Salesforce. So the email, I guess they could technically work in the mass box, but we really want them working within Salesforce because everything else is there. And that's kind of how we sold, buying, 800 client support licenses because everybody's going to be working in it, all the time. So yes, we do use Salesforce for Outlook, but we're, moving away from there. We're moving, trying to move more away from Outlook and having them work directly within Salesforce since, 99% of their other stuff is in there now too.
Okay.
Great concept. All right, next question.
Yeah, it looks like Trevor has a question for us.
Trevor, you're out there?
Yeah, I'm right here. I work with a number of nonprofits here in Cape Town, South Africa, and in terms of a global audience for these MVP office hours, this is certainly time-wise is excellent for me, even though it's 8:10 in the evening. But the question I have is, I work with one of my clients as provide support to teachers at schools, teachers that are at inner city schools and need additional support, extra lessons, we could call it, for the teachers themselves. And what I've set up is a custom object called School Visit. And in that custom object, the person visiting the school makes various observations and comments and notes about what's happening with the teacher and what challenges the teacher is facing. Is there any way that when they are editing this custom object that they can refer back to information that is kept in the parent record? Okay? So in other words, they would be asking questions about what's working and what's not working, but at the same time, they'd like to be able to see, for example, how many teachers at that specific school are in the program. And the only way that you can see that is by going back to the record of the school. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's several ways to do that.
This is a visual display question?
Sorry?
What's that?
So you're talking about from a visual display perspective? You want to?
Correct. Because now I'm editing a custom object that is connected via lookup to the school. Okay, but I cannot see, for example, how many teachers there are at the school because I'd have to go back to the school record. So I'm editing a custom object that is connected to the school via lookup, but I cannot. I'd like to be able to see that information.
This is Steve. Have you ever checked out the console tab?
The console tab.
The console. It's called the console tab. It's this kind of forgotten second-class feature in Salesforce, but it allows you to combine a list view and related objects all on one page. So it can accomplish almost exactly what you described. You can operate from, so envision it as it turns your Salesforce screen into 3 windows that are almost like a T. There'd be one bar that goes all the way across from left to right, and that would be populated with a list view. And then below that, the screen would be split in half, and you can drag the window pane, grab the window by the frame, and slide it left and right if you want to see more of one type of record versus the other type of record.
Okay.
And as you work, so the top half is populated by a list view, and the list view that is available, it also takes all of the tabs and makes them a menu that is nested above the list view. So you could have your custom object and select any list view that you've created for that custom object. When you click select the list view from the menu, it will populate that upper half of your screen with that list view. As you navigate through the list view and select a record by clicking on its name, the left window below the list is populated with an editable detail record of the record you selected. Parent records and child records that are connected to that, they populate in the right window pane.
Okay.
And these are all editable from these windows.
Wow, because I thought it was only for like a call center scenario.
No, there's a version of the console tab that is on steroids called the Service Console. But the basic functionality that you're referring to is totally achievable through the plain vanilla console tab.
Wow. Okay. But Steve, isn't that part of what they're came out with the Sales Cloud or the Sales Console? Isn't that what?
Well, the Sales Console is like a version of a sales-oriented version of the console tab on steroids. So it has the new UI. It has a lot more functionality. The core console tab that I'm talking about, that is one of its only drawbacks. When you're on the console tab, you go back to a version of the Salesforce UI that looks like you're going back to like the summer '09 release, or even before that.
I think it depends on the org as well.
It does have a real, I like to say it's got a rustic feel to it. It's kind of like taking a trip to Amish country and watching a Civil War reenactment at the same time. Everything is gray, the fonts are different, but the nuts and bolts of it is it allows you to do what you described. You can be on a child, see the parent, and navigate and edit both records. And you also have the advantage of having a list view that is at the top that you can continue to work through. So you could have just using a generic sales example, you could have a list of your open opportunities, and you could work through the list and have the list and the opportunity detail record and the account detail record right in front of you and never leave the screen.
Amazing. Which Steve is this? Which Steve are you?
My name's Steve Mollis, or Steve Mo.
You are huge in South Africa. Were you aware of that?
He's just huge in general.
Everyone wants to hear him say safe harbor.
Everyone loves the Steve Mo.
Thank you. I'm blown away. I actually want to disconnect from this thing and go away.
I feel like the guys in Pearl Jam in the movie Singles, where they're like, "We got a huge following in Belgium."
Nice.
But thank you.
Hey, thanks
much.
a lot.
Thanks
a lot for your question. Thanks, Steve Mo. Let's see if we can get a couple more questions in.
I can die a happy man.
There you go. So we get a couple more questions in before we have to depart for today. Next question.
Hi there, it's Bruno from Toronto. I've got a quick question about Salesforce. I know using it is, first of all, I want to thank the MVPs for their time. In terms of Salesforce, using it for accounts, contacts, understood, but I've got a need to have projects as the main object and have it tied to accounts and contacts in somewhat of a matrix form. So I'm thinking of junction objects to sort of have many relationships between these contacts and the projects and sort of communicate details on the project as you go on, all communications that go out to contacts. And I'm just wondering, in that type of matrix environment, if that makes sense before I go and build that all out. Do you think Salesforce would be the right platform to sort of track projects that way and use junction objects, or do you think that'd be pretty limiting?
Can I take that?
Absolutely. Over to you, Deepa.
I've already built that system in my Salesforce system, and I've done exactly what you've talked about. I've got a custom object called projects, which is linked to contacts through a junction object, just because there's many-to-many relationship there, that one contact can be involved in multiple projects, and one project can have multiple contacts. So you're right on track there. I also have a lookup to the opportunity. So when I look at the opportunity, I can see how many projects came from that opportunity, because it's possible that you might start with, like you might have an opportunity that is like, let's say 10K, but that involves 3 projects. So I have a lookup to that as well so that I can see that. And then and then I also have a lookup to the account so that I can see all the projects at the account level. So you're definitely on the right track. And I've gone beyond that to add like billing expenses and invoicing in there along with Conga. So you just know you are on the right track there.
Okay. Well, thanks, Deepak. So definitely you're saying it can be done with projects as your main object. And so you have the contacts come in through that junction object. And how do you link the accounts in? Do you have a separate junction for the accounts as well?
Well, it depends on the relationship, right? Like if you're going to have multiple to multiple, then you need to create a junction object. But if you have just like, if you're going to track projects just like, at an account level, which is what I do, right? Because I don't have projects going across multiple accounts. It's a project is associated to a particular client, which is an account in the Salesforce world. So it's just a straight lookup from the project to the account so that it allows me to add multiple projects for that account.
Right. Okay. And then as tasks get added related to the project, the only difference is you'd have to go in and add the project as that what item per se, right? If you're sending like, let's say, Salesforce to Outlook, it's going to attach to the contact, but then you have to have them go in and, okay.
And then I also have a project as a master detail to the account, so all of it rolls up, right? So like my thought process was, it's not just a project management, it's also a revenue management system for me. So that, if there are multiple projects coming, just like opportunities, you want opportunities to roll up to see what revenue came from those opportunities at a particular account. I do have the project as a detail, master detail, like a detail for the account so that I can do, roll up numbers and roll up the numbers at the account level.
Okay, so account is your top level, is your parent essentially.
Account is my top level, but I still live and breathe in my project record.
Okay.
I rarely go to the account level. I only go to the account level when I want to run my reports on what the total revenue was for that particular account.
Okay, so your projects definitely have to relate to one account per se if it's master detail.
Absolutely.
It can't relate to many different accounts. Okay.
Well, you can if you wanted to. All you would have to do is do a junction object, but then you can't take advantage of the roll-up summary fill there.
Right. Okay. Appreciate it.
I think someone else has another suggestion.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, Deepa. I think you are on the right path. The only suggestion that I would add is to check out the App Exchange, because there may be some pre-built things on there that might be free, or maybe there's a Force.com Labs package that you can drop in and have a lot of those fields and attributes already created for you before you embark on the journey and creating your own thing from scratch.
Okay, I'll look for it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, great response. Thanks, Deepa. Any other questions?
This is
7 minutes.
Hello?
Go ahead.
So I just want a confirmation on one of the approach I'm trying to take to solve one business problem. So our Salesforce.com is integrated with SAP. So now SAP is making a change saying they will have multiple roles associated with one contact. So the same change, we used to have one contact per role. Now they will have only one contact coming into Salesforce.com. In Salesforce, we want to display the same thing, only we want to have one contact and have multiple roles associated with that contact. But the business need is they want to be able to sort based on role and also perform some searching and reporting. Those are the two things that are very important to the business. Regardless however we display that information, either we have one contact per role or we just keep one contact and multiple roles associated with it. They just want to be able to sort it and search based on that information or run some reports. So currently we actually have duplicate. We have one contact and one role associated with it. And I am proposing to them saying, how about we create a custom object called SAP child object to the contact called SAP contact role. So it will have parent-child relationship. And then I can have a lookup relationship on the account. So on the account, when they're looking at the account information, I can have a related list called SAP contact roles, which will display all the contacts and all different roles each contact could have, because one contact could have 3 different roles, shipped to, billed to, and assigned to. Is that the right approach going for this, or is there any other option that I should be looking into?
Silence. Yeah, any MVPs want to take that? Cool. Well, I'll start. So there are multiple ways you can do that. First, I would make sure that the native account contact roles doesn't meet your requirement, because I haven't checked. But
I tried that one. I tried that one, and it does not. It doesn't let you sort. And second is, when you have the related list, I added almost 50 contact roles, and the list keep growing. It doesn't show you, you know how you have in the related list, go to the next 15 or go to the list, and it open up the page and show all the lists. I keep adding into my like up to 50 contact and keep extending the list. Is not showing those links to go to the next one or go to the list entire new page where you can do some sorting.
Good, because you answered some questions that are important. So architecturally, from a database perspective, I think you're on the right track in terms of adding that. I think when you do add that, you have to also keep in mind the data storage that you're going to incur as a result of doing that, because every record inside of Salesforce is 2K. So you may want to do some data estimation about what's currently inside of SAP or what you might be saving. You already have one contact inside of Salesforce anyway. So it's just
right now they have multiple contacts, so isn't it that will be more? Like right now they're creating duplicate contacts. So if you are a business owner, you're a decision maker, they're creating 2 Joshua record, 2 contact record for you. Isn't that be more data, right?
Yeah, that would be more data. And so before we would even embark around the contact role discussion, I would actually propose that there's some type of cleanup effort beforehand. A contact is a contact. A contact is not a duplicate contact. You have to be able to understand your customer, not not duplicate contacts. So in that perspective, there needs to be at least some strategy around how to identify a person and how to clean up those existing contacts that are inside of Salesforce, those duplicates. And you can do a lot of that programmatically, but I would definitely sort of recommend highlighting that to the program management and having them understand that you're not supposed to have duplicate data inside your CRM as much as you're able to prevent it and clean it up as you go. So the data that you save, the record storage that you save from that process, if done correctly, could make it feasible for you to add the additional records. You're taking out 1, you're adding 3, so maybe not, but it's going to help because you're going to be removing some of those duplicate records that are inside of Salesforce. From a database point, it totally makes sense. I even like the fact that you can probably do a custom tab to allow people to do filters based on accounts. But from a presentation perspective, you're actually looking at probably either a button on the account page that maybe opens up to a Visualforce page, or an inline Visualforce page that has that pagination, as well as the search, so someone can quickly use that, with that solution. Because if you do want to, allow for someone to scroll, or allow for pagination to be done in line while you're on the account layout, there's going to have to be a custom Visualforce page, which will come with its associated custom controller to do that. And there's several pagination frameworks out there, as well as JavaScript libraries such as jQuery and whatnot to implement the sorting. I mean, I've seen list UIs done several times in Force.com, and it's always interesting to see how someone does it. So there's plenty of information on the internet, how to get a list and how to sort things as well.
So I haven't explored the junction object much, but does the junction object applies here? Should I explore that option, or it does not?
The junction object only applies if you have a many-to-many relationship. So basically, in this case, your contact can have many contact roles, and that contact is associated to an account. So I don't see the need for a many-to-many. You could have an account also on that on your custom contact role object, just to make the related list easier to get to when you're on the account level. Because if you just create the child to the contact, you won't be able to see a related list on the contact. So you may have to implement a trigger to say on save, automatically populate the account, and that should be hidden and read-only for the users, because that would be something just to improve the user experience.
So if I add the lookup relationship of account in that custom object, and when they integrate the data from SAP for the contact, if I have them populate the account information, because if it is a customer, SAP owns the account and they have the account number. So if they populate the account ID and also the contact ID with that contact role custom object, then I should be able to see it related list on the account, right?
Yeah, you should be. The only risk there is that you need to make sure that the contact is associated to the right account, because it might be possible that SAP has the contact and the account mismatch, and you end up attaching that contact record or role record to the wrong account. That's why I prefer to do it based upon the information that's inside of Salesforce, so that you only have to worry about what contact the account is associated with, and if you move the contact around, then so be it. And the trigger would also have to, be able to reassociate all the data. But if you have SAP set the account, I would have questions around that, because it would be easy to associate contact roles to different accounts than what that contact is actually set to from a physical level.
Okay, I see your point. But a contact can be associated with one account right now, right?
An account can only be associated with one account through parent hierarchy. Yeah, that's correct.
Unless they release that feature, contact can be associated with multiple accounts, then this will not. Then you have to have more logic into the trigger, right?
Right, and you can do that through a custom attribute right now. You can just add another account lookup or a junction object if that's what you wanted to do.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, thank you. I just wanted to verify I'm on the right path. And is there any other option I should explore?
Yeah, no problem. No, thanks for coming in. Questions. So we are out of time.
Hey, Josh, I want to get to just one question, because it kind of was lingering there. And since we ran over. But Catherine had a question on code coverage of triggers in production. So, Catherine, you want to give us some quick information about that? And then this will be our last question for today.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, just really quick. Is that something I need to monitor? Because some of our triggers aren't having, they're reading at 0 code coverage. I'm not sure if that's because the test methods aren't pushing into production, or I'm not really sure if those are in both sandbox or production. But do code coverages change once they're in production?
They do, and that's a great question. And so what I would recommend is there's a run all feature in production for you to be able to run through all your test coverage. I do know that Salesforce has a feature where the code coverage may say 0, but you may want to try to run the code coverage for those test classes again, just to ensure that number is most up to date. But that's usually as a result to maybe a configuration changing, like a workflow or a validation rule to invalidate the test coverage. So the way I normally ask people to think about test coverage is it's basically telling a robot what to do, right? And this is where release management comes in and where it's kind of sticky. Is although Salesforce.com is very customizable and you can a validation inside of production, it could break a test case, because if you're telling the robot to do something but you don't tell them to add a value into a field that you've made require, then that test is going to fail, and then obviously you don't get any coverage on that area of code. So the quickest, and that's the biggest difference with test coverage being 0 in production, is making sure that there hasn't been any configuration. But any time that you push custom code to Salesforce, you have to have code coverage. So at one point in time, you did successfully have code coverage, but since then, something on the system has changed since that's been done. But I would definitely encourage you to run through all your test coverages again. And in some instances, if you run all of them together, they don't run properly because you can't dictate the order in which they run, and some run parallel. So you may want to at least go from by your test classes, and the ones that you do have, there'll be a run button on those, and run those separately. But you definitely do want to be able to monitor that on a regular basis to make sure that the next time you deploy something, you don't end up having to track it down then. You want to be able to get ahead of that and find out what the problem is now so that your next deployment will be error-free.
And Josh, this is Bill. I want to add something really quick. When you're doing your test classes, make sure you don't hard code any IDs in there too, because if you're doing your sandbox and you're hard coding IDs, they're not going to be the same IDs on your production. So that's also what happens sometimes when people try to deploy and you get 0 because you're not able to look up the correct record you're trying to sandbox if you've hard coded the IDs in.
Okay, great. Is there just a quick way to monitor whether a trigger's code coverage is changing once it's in production?
That would be not right now.
Okay.
Yeah, not right now. There's no way to push that information to you, and it's not even reportable within the report engine. But certainly, I would add it to a list of things that you would do on a monthly basis. I would absolutely add it to something that's done before you do a deployment, because that is going to be your sticking point, and it's a lot easier to fix test coverage before you talk about introducing more changes to your production environment via code.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
That was great. We've got a lot of great questions. So do please continue to promote MVP office hours. There's a slide in the chatter feed where you can add this to your slide decks if you're giving presentations, or you simply just want to send it to someone to let them know how to register. And we'll continue to really focus on our goals for 2014. And Jarrett, anything else from you?
No, just thanks for everybody joining today and all the great questions. So continue to let us know if you have feedback for sure.
I do see some questions in the chat, so if we didn't get to you, please register for the next MVP office hours, and we'll certainly get to those questions as soon as we can. So thanks, everyone, and have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please stand by.